Got mosquitoes everywhere in my place. So, been tired as fuck recently. Got a couple of like small injuries. I kicked James's knee and I hit it with my big toe. So I have basically had to take like a day or two off, and I'll go train today. But yeah, really not feeling it. I think today will go super easy. I think we'll just do boxing. So I'll keep my shoes on and we'll just do boxing. But you know, one of the things that was on my mind was what to do with free time, because I know that a lot of guys are struggling with this, and I am as well. Like, I actually have quite a lot of free time. Like, when it's, you know, you're in school or work or something, then yeah, your time is usually taken up. But for the guys who are watching this, who maybe are outside of the education system, maybe don't have like a 9-to-5 job, yeah, you end up having loads of free time, and free time is a bad thing, by the way. A lot of people think that that's what the dream is, like they want to have free time. You don't. You actually don't. Like, so, let me sit up straight. There's a quote from the Bible which is like, idle hands make the devil's work, something like that. But where basically the lesson is like, you don't want to be doing nothing, because that's when a human just starts being pulled towards degeneracy and bad habits and content consumption and everything. So you want to have free time, but then actually have it allocated to something ASAP. Problem is, like, I felt like there isn't much I can allocate that free time to, because if for you, like, the advice I'd give for the kind of person who watches this is just read as much as possible. If you're watching this, you're the kind of person who, if you just, whatever goal you've got, if you go spend the next few years reading about it, your life will change forever. But I don't know if it's arrogance or ego or something, but I've got to the point where I just realized, like, reading more is often not actually getting me much better results in the areas that I'm actually trying to grow in. And sometimes it's actually getting me worse results because of the constant shift of, you know, my thinking and strategy, and I'm changing my idea here, changing this thing, and this thing. When really, for me to make progress in my goals like kickboxing and business, I just have to keep like showing up and doing the actions, and changing the strategy is not going to help me with that. So for me personally, like, this is how my day goes. I wake up and then I train in the morning, and then I usually come back and I eat and I work on like the business. I record content for like my other YouTube channels and stuff, and I help my students if they need my help with some stuff. And then I get, you know, I spend a few hours like that. I usually have a bit of downtime, so I'll do something light like reading or just watching some like podcasts or something. Then it's time to go train again, kickboxing. So I go to kickboxing again, and then finish that session. And I usually vlog around that time, like these kinds of videos. And then again, I come back, I eat, I basically do the same thing. It's like a bit of light work at this time. And then once it gets to the evening time, that's when I've got, again, like another second wind of energy. So I start recording more videos, or maybe I'll do one-to-one calls with my students and stuff. But I often still have like 2-3 hours free during the day. Last night, it was like 8 p.m. Not gonna lie to you, I'll be completely honest. I invited a girl to come over, and straight when I sent the message, I was actually like regretting it, thinking like, you know what, I actually, I think I'll just have more fun just being sat by myself anyway. It's something I've said before, is like, pussy ain't all that, bro. Like, the world's addictions, the world's like, what even is it? It's like, the pleasures of the world don't really pull me the same way it used to, now that I have the insight that a lot of it actually makes you into a weaker person. So yeah, I was sat here last night at like 8 p.m. messaging this girl and saying like, oh yeah, come over, we'll drink wine or something. And she was down to meet me as well, to like have a drink together. And like, I was just like, as soon as I sent the message, I was like, I regretted it, just thinking, oh, maybe I should just make like an excuse and just cancel. And that's exactly what I did. I basically just said like, oh, I'm like too tired. I've got like an injury from kickboxing, so I wouldn't really want to do it. And yeah, and then I just ended up basically just reading, which was, it was fine, but it wasn't great. Like, compared to like smashing a girl, obviously it's not as fun, whatever. But like, I was sat around, let's see, thinking, okay, it's 8 p.m. I go to sleep at 10. So what am I going to do for the last 2 hours? I don't want to do this, you know, like, oh, just 1 hour of TV at the end of the day, or games or whatever. But I was like, what the fuck else can I do? Because I usually just read to fill up my time. But reading for the last like year, it hasn't actually gotten me better results. I really think it's gotten me worse results because I'm just getting too many different strategies and philosophies in my mind, which then is causing more confusion and bouncing around and like this ADHD-like symptom. So I was like, reading for skills is probably not what I should do because I actually have the skills, or I'm on track to get the skills to achieve my goals. The skills being, for example, the kickboxing skill and like cardio and whatever for my kickboxing goal, and then the skills required to like grow my 3 or like fucking 200 YouTube channels. And then yeah, I already have the skills for those. It's just about doing the right things and taking action. So I was like, then when are you actually reading for? So I started to read a book, and it was just boring, and I was like, there's no benefit to this. I'm just reading right now just because I don't want to do something bad. And so I ended up just like fucking around, opening different books, reading different sections, just bored, and just thinking like, when you don't have like a girlfriend, or when you don't have like a friend, you know, that you're hanging out with at late o'clock, like 8, 9 p.m., and you don't have like a big work task, it's quite, like there's often not too much to do. It's the same with honestly, like no offense to them, but like the content creators that I usually watch, probably similar to what you watch. Podcaster, I won't say names, but you know, like podcasters and guys who are making videos on like business and all this. And I was actually thinking, like, I've learned so much from these guys, but my life and my business hasn't really improved overall. Do you remember, if you've watched a lot of these vlogs, there's a mindset that I told you about, which is so powerful, because this is going to be thought-provoking as fuck to you, and it's going to make you look at like the guys you watch on YouTube so differently. The mindset was to not look at anything in a vacuum, in and of itself, but rather to look at what your life was like overall when doing that thing. So for example, the example I used, let's say the example with this is like, let's say there's someone you watch on YouTube who every time you watch their video, it's like full of value, crazy education, awesome. But that's not actually showing if their videos and advice is improving your health or your life. The way to see it is what happens during those few months of your life actually. So for example, there's tons of guys I've watched, like entrepreneurs, like all the big entrepreneurs, business guys, whose videos I like religiously watch, and they are full of crazy value. But what's interesting is my business, and I genuinely take action on the things they say, but what's interesting is my business actually doesn't improve in those seasons where I'm watching a bunch of these like business YouTubers, because again, it's like if there's too much input and you start being like this fickle entrepreneur who's changing too much, whose brain is like, you know, just like so rigid compared to the creative brain that's required to like level up, as particularly in like the content creator field. So I was just thinking about it last night. I was looking at the guys who I'm subscribed to, and I was like, I've learned so much from these guys, but my business didn't actually improve by learning all this. It actually went down. It was the same with, again, no offense, but this time I'll name names. There's a guy, a fitness YouTuber called Jeff Nippard, and he makes like these videos which are amazing, full of prime education on like science and fitness, like bodybuilding, what the science says to be the best bodybuilder, right? And it's like, I've learned so much from him. And you know what's interesting? I literally made less muscle by following him. For years, I followed this guy and a few other like fitness YouTubers, and I learned so much from them, but I literally built a worse physique by watching them, because then you're just overthinking like crazy, and you're not training, you're not doing the one key principle, which is just train hard as fuck. Like, you've got to train like an idiot. Like, there's guys in the gym who've never watched a fitness science-based YouTuber. They don't know what RPE or RIR is. They don't know what like fucking perceived exertion, fucking, they don't know any of that. If you ask them like, what's your workout split, they'd be like, what? And you'd say, what are you training today? They'll go like, oh, okay, chest, and maybe I'll do a bit of arms as well. Like, they've got no fucking like scheduled workout. They just train hard. They're always doing some stupid shit that if you've watched a bunch of these science-based fitness YouTubers, you'll be thinking like, that's not optimal. They'll be doing like behind the neck lat raises. They'll do like bench press with their feet up, like not like down, but like up in the air, kind of like a sit-up kind of position or something, like, you know, their feet upwards at a 90-degree angle. And you'll be watching like, actually, I've seen the EMG activation studies. Like, that doesn't actually improve gains. But the guy's fucking jacked with like a fucking 10 out of 10 sexy ass physique. And then all the nerds are watching like, oh, he's training too hard and that exercise isn't actually optimal. So if you look at something in a vacuum, like for example, how I was watching these previous YouTubers, I felt like there was so many things I was learning. I felt so intellectual. But overall, my life actually, for me personally, went better when basically I watched almost no one. Come to think of it, like, I can't think of anyone right now who, when I actually watched them, my life actually improved. There was loads of guys I've watched who I felt like I got tons of value from, and I was like, oh, that's so right, that's so true. But my life didn't actually improve alongside it. And you know what's interesting, not to like fucking spit on my own dick, but I have a feeling like for you, I might be one of the very few people who actually, you could say, your life actually improved when you started watching me. Like, if you think about the trajectory of your life, like the timeline of your life, the moment you discovered my videos, your life went like this. I just know it for a fact, right? You would probably agree with that. But think about that for a second. Now think about the other guys you watched, and it's like, probably not. You probably, if you think back to some other guys you really like on YouTube, you're probably like, oh yeah, like, but they're amazing. Then when you stop and you're like, but it's interesting. Like, I've been watching all these business YouTubers, still haven't made any money. Watching all these science-based fitness YouTubers, still been making basically the same rate of muscle growth as what I've been used to. If anything, a little bit slower. I actually feel like I've plateaued harder. There's very, very few guys who, when you actually watch their content, your life will actually improve. So be careful for that. That's like a message I want to put out. And by the way, like, just so I can be completely like, give you disclosure here and give you like, you know, just the reality. If this is me, by the way, if you watch my videos, you get a ton of insights, but your life hasn't changed, then maybe you should consider not watching them. I just know for a fact your life has changed. I am genuinely like, again, I actually spit this out. I'm spitting on my dick a lot, but I know that I'm one of the most impactful content creators, influencers to have ever existed. I know that for a fact. I know that when guys watch me, their lives actually change. I know so many guys on YouTube, influencers kind of in my space and stuff, who've got, you know, tons of views and subscribers, and it's like their videos get a lot of views, but I know that they're not actually genuinely causing like a change in their people. They're getting people to consume the content, but their viewers' lives don't change. When someone watches me for a year, they go from like skinny little fucking autist loser who's obsessing over girls and jacking off to finally understanding nofap and getting on it for real, finally getting into the gym for real, finally becoming more confident and masculine and holding eye contact and getting more respect from their parents and having a vision and a dream for their lives. I create real change in the people who watch my videos, and I'm so disappointed and I'm upset for you, because you are like, you know, a user of this platform, that I can't like really think of many other people who actually create a change in their audience. Everyone else acts like they are, like they create these like productive, self-improvement, business style videos. But you've got to remember, they're all doing that to actually create a change in their life, to make money for them, to get subscribers and views for them. So for me personally, I've watched all the same guys who have popped off on YouTube. My life hasn't actually improved. I've not went more serious. What's interesting is you'll make more gains by watching Sam Sulek than you will by watching Jeff Nippard. Jeff Nippard's videos are about maximizing your gains using science. And from what I've seen, I've not watched too much, but like from what I've seen in Sam Sulek, he kind of gives you some tips here and there, but he's just kind of like speaking about his life, that's it. But it's just like you're actually like the season of which that you actually watch like a daily Sam Sulek vlog is the season where you'll make more muscle compared to the season of which you're watching like a daily video of like Jeff Nippard, like this gay fucking science-based YouTubers where you just find yourself lying on the floor doing cable bicep curls like a fucking idiot or something, or like, you know, doing some sus fucking exercise because it's more efficient or something. It's just something to bear in mind. Here's an action step for you to think about. Think about the YouTubers that are on your list. Maybe like open a new tab and go to the homepage and see the subscriber list you've got there, the guys you subscribe to. And then just think to yourself, like, has your life actually really gotten better because of this guy and this guy? And really go through it. Remember the time you started watching them, what topic they talk about. And then just think to yourself, like, did you genuinely really like make more real results in that topic? Not just did you learn things about the topic, not just did you like, you know, feel like you committed yourself and got more serious in the topic, but did you build more muscle in the 3 months that you started watching Sam Sulek? Did you build more muscle in the 3 months that you watched like Jeff Nippard or some science-based guy? Did you genuinely get more dollars in your bank account from watching any of these business guys? Because I would actually say for most guys, for most of the people that we watch online, it's fucking no. I know so many, like, you know, these finance, business YouTubers, entrepreneurs, and I know that basically most of their audience don't make any money at all, which is the exact opposite to the kind of content that I post. And it's not just a topic like self-improvement or whatever, because I also know tons of self-improvement YouTubers who get a bunch of views, but I know that their audience stay in the same fucking place. So is there, like, really think to yourself, are you genuinely getting an ROI from your time? Because here's the thing, this is the weird thing, right? If you're not, then why watch something that like isn't changing your life? Like you might be learning, but learning without a change in your results is basically pointless, right? Unless if it's learning for the sake of just interest. Like, for example, I've got some books on history. I've got some books on like China here. China has done really well in the last 100 years. So my actions is probably not going to change from reading that book, but it's kind of interesting to learn, to get a couple of facts here and there. And it's just kind of like, you know, scratching the itch of my curiosity. That's fine. But if you're watching a certain guy online because you want to make more progress and get results in that area, if you're not getting results in that area, then I would ask you, like, how is that any better from just watching TV shows? I genuinely, now I'm beginning to understand the guys who spend, you know, an hour or two a day watching like movies and TV shows and anime, because there's not that much out there that actually helps you. And I'm like, the worst case scenario is watching like self-help business type of shit, like the type of shit I post. But if your life isn't actually changing and getting real results because of that, you're watching something that is nowhere near as entertaining and as fun and kind of scratches the itch of like, you know, dopamine, whatever. But you're also not getting the benefit as well. Do you get what I mean? Like, imagine from my perspective, wouldn't it logically make more sense for me to stop watching like the sort of business YouTubers that I've watched all this time? Because my business hasn't actually improved by watching them. For me also, let's say the science-based YouTubers, instead of me watching them and thinking all this autistic stuff, this overthinking of like, oh, this thing and this thing and this thing in the gym, if my results are actually not going up because of that, I should save all that time, see if there's something productive I could put into that time, like maybe, you know, learning about a different topic or finding someone else's content to consume, or maybe meditating. And if there's not much else I can actually think of, it's like, it kind of makes more sense to just spend that time in a way that's enjoyable, puts you in a happy state, because when you're in a happy state, you'll often like have higher testosterone, sleep better, have less anxious overthinking and stuff. You'll make more muscle, you'll perform better on content because you're bringing happier energy, right? Does that make sense to you? Like, when we watch these like productive style videos, which are on any of these like self-improvement topics, business, whatever, you're not really put into like a happy state. In fact, you're put into more of a state of yearning, of lack, of like, oh man, here's another thing I've got to work on. Oh, I've got to remember that technique where you lean backwards on the lat pull down or whatever. And if it's not actually getting you better results, then there's literally not just a positive, like, you know, a lack of a positive result, but there's probably a negative in the fact that it puts you in the emotional frequency lower down of like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I gotta remember this thing. Oh, I gotta remember this thing. Right? Like, I don't know if this is gonna make sense to a lot of people, but if your actions aren't changing because of some self-helpy, businessy kind of content, maybe you don't want to watch them anymore, because you'll just have more fun and probably more progress in life if you watch something that actually like gives you, you know, like happy feelings basically. Now, if you're watching something, which I hope is my things, and it's like, it's actually causing a good change in your life. For example, let's say you started watching this vlog series and you've been actually thinking like, oh, like kickboxing and MMA looks awesome, I'm going to join. Let's say you've already done a session or two that you probably weren't going to do if I never made this series. That's a real result in your life that's happened, right? If you're like suddenly more motivated and hitting better workouts than ever because of this series, then that's actually a real result that you're getting. It makes sense to keep watching this because your life is genuinely changing from that. But I'm just so disappointed by like the peers around me, honestly. I see so many guys who just churn out content, and I personally know that like their audience isn't actually improving their lives like at all. It's just insane of like how little actually life-changing content creators there are out there. There's people who have a lot of yapping, like a lot of shit to say, but they're not actually getting their audience like the result in the industry or whatever that they're talking about. So it's just something to bear in mind, man. I remember when I was down bad, like 20, 21 years old, and I first discovered like self-improvement videos. And I used to watch all these motherfuckers that would talk about like how to get out of a rut, how to do this, how to do that. And my life didn't change by watching any of them. In fact, the only time that my life improved around that time, you know, when I was like a video gamer and everything, was just when I went on a dopamine detox and I stopped consuming all content. I started reading some books, and back then, like a bunch of books actually really helped me. Like, for example, one thing that comes to mind is I read a book on the oxygen advantage, that was the name. And the short version of it is basically like, your health will be a lot better if you breathe from your nose and you actually breathe less rather than breathing more, which was so interesting. And it told a tactic of like taping your mouth shut at nighttime. So I started doing that and my life improved. Like I read the book and I literally got a result in real life that improved it. So that was valuable as fuck. But of all the self-help YouTubers I used to watch back in the day that would talk about like no fap and being in a rut and productivity and everything, didn't help me at all. I only got a real result in my life when I stopped watching people's content. So just bear that in mind. Like maybe it's something you want to do like an analysis of, because you could save like a solid 1 or 2 hours a day if you did this. Don't just ask yourself whose videos do you kind of enjoy, whose videos do you learn from, do you get value from and insights from. Ask yourself, in the period of time that you watched this guy's videos, did you get more results in that area? If the answer isn't a clear yes, you're probably wasting your time. So just think, okay, if you watch some fitness YouTuber, since you started following him, did you actually see a rate of muscle growth that was faster than normal? Because if the answer is no, and you were still struggling, whatever, even though you were implementing all the autistic steps and stuff, then what's the point? Like for me, Jeff Nippard, his videos, bro, it's like they're so good videos. So good practical advice. Okay, eat like this meal before the gym, this meal, like this kind of carb inside of the gym, this thing afterwards, this technique or whatever. I watched all of that, tried it my best for years to implement as much as possible. It was only when I stopped watching all fitness YouTubers that I started to make more muscle. Why? Because then I started to align to like what just felt right to me, which was just to train as hard as fuck, brain dead, no workout routine, and just train with a friend, abuse caffeine, shout at each other, listen to like loud music on the way to the gym, and call each other pussies. No fitness YouTubers, like fucking science-based gay-ass YouTubers telling you like, oh yeah, like say racist shit and homophobic shit with your friend when you're hitting the gym. None of them are gonna say that shit, but that's like the shit that actually helped, right? The only, like, I made really good muscle mass earlier this year because I just optimized for like brain, like almost like I was a brain dead Chad, where I was just going to the gym and doing which exercise felt kind of like good that I wanted to do. And I would just focus on going hard as fuck. And basically I did it in like a bro way, where it was like, it wasn't exactly ego lifting, like I didn't use particularly too heavy weights, but it was ego lifting in the sense of failure, where I wanted people to like look at me because I was going to like absolute failure, which none of these science-based fucking pussies tell you to do. Maybe they say like 1 set per day or something. I was going every set to the point that I was like screaming, and then I would move the pin of the cable machine up and up, and I would have guys like literally stop and stare at me, guys who, you know, they were planning to like talk to me, kind of stand there like in awe of like how hard I was training. And I love the intention, right? You're not seeing that on like some science-based YouTuber, but that's the thing that actually made me like probably the best gains I've made since like 2022, just because I trained like a fucking like animal, like a retard. The same in 2022 was the exact same. I trained with a friend, we abused caffeine, we would shout at each other and call each other pussies, and we didn't really have a workout routine. We just felt like we just basically did the exercise that like we just felt like doing that day. We didn't do any gay, weird, like fucking weird sus exercises or anything like that. We just did the ones that felt good to our bodies. It was that simple. We didn't calculate RPE or any cute shit like this. We just fucking trained hard. And if we saw that the other person didn't hit failure, we'd like push them back down. Like there's so many times where like, I was spotting my friend on bench press. I was like, no, like on we did Smith machine. We did Smith machine incline press. So imagine he's going, and I knew that he had a few more reps, and he racked the Smith. You know, you like twist the Smith barbell to rack it. I was like, nah, fuck you. You still got reps left, and I opened it back up on him. And he's like, wasn't expecting it, so he hits a few. I was like, no, fuck you. Like he kept on trying to like twist it to lock it, and I was like forcing it the other way. Like, no, keep going. Like that's like you're not hearing like real failure, right? You're seeing that in bodybuilders, you're seeing it in professional bodybuilders who will do drop sets and everything, but you're not seeing it in like the fitness science-based YouTubers that you watch online, because the science studies argues differently. If you live your life based on like these guidelines, you turn into a fucking whimsical little pussy. Now, no offense, but I'm gonna mention a name here. The same with Huberman. Huberman's like this science podcaster, this doctor who's went super viral with all this health advice. There was a time when I watched him religiously and I implemented all the advice. Okay, wake up, morning sunlight, don't drink coffee for 90 minutes, all this stuff. And my health didn't actually improve during that season of my life. If anything, I actually started to notice it go down. Like, how interesting is that? My health and my life went down when I started watching like health-based science doctors online. And guess what happened? When I stopped watching them and I just lived attuned to my own feelings, my health went up. I didn't obsess autistically about morning sunlight or adrenaline build up in the morning to not drink caffeine and all these like weird little bits of advice, like you should like have your monitor upwards a little bit more and all this gay advice, all this stuff like that. I just stopped thinking about it, stopped giving a shit about health, stopped giving a shit about sleep, and then I got the best health. Of course your health goes up when you're not really thinking about it. Your sleep is fine when you stop thinking about it. So like literally for me it was like all of the content creators I've watched, I can barely think of any right now that I actually feel actually had a real result in my life. Tons of them gave me so many insights where I was sharing their stuff and thinking, oh man, like this is it, this is so valuable. But the actual result was very little. You know, like let me tell you who actually helped me. This might not be relevant for your life situation, but there's two that come to mind. One is an entrepreneur named Alex Becker. And if you go search up his channel, a lot of it's like bullshit crypto videos and stuff, but there's a period of time like a few years ago where he was making like educational like mindset videos with entrepreneurship. And there was one video which was titled something like why I sold everything and live like a monk, or why money keeps you poor, something like that. And it was on this idea that once you start making really good money, you actually lose a lot of freedom and enjoyment in life, because you start doing things to make more money rather than doing the thing that was actually purposeful. And in the end, you make less money because now you're like living a worse life. And I watched that when I had just moved to Dubai, and I was living like this shit inauthentic lifestyle. Like I tried being like a Dubai influencer and it just did not fit me at all, because I'm just not materialistic. I have more of a soul. So yeah, I tried that shit and it was just fucking like not relatable for me. I see this video and it was so right, and it was the video that basically convinced me to leave Dubai, move back home to my parents' home, and then start my online school, which then took me to the first $100,000 month I had ever had, and I've been 100K a month since then. And then the other one I can think of is First Man, my friend Chris, where he had a couple of videos on like dating mindset and stuff, which helped me back in the day. Like I already knew about a lot of red pill stuff and like the SMV graph, men peak later than women and stuff. But his concept of like the male advantage and just more further, that was really good. It wasn't just an insight, it had an end result for me where like I split up with girls that I was like basically settling with. So those two guys, those two videos had a real end result where it wasn't just insightful and interesting, but I actually genuinely got a life-changing, like real result from it. With the other guys that I've mentioned, I just believe me when I say like I really took action on the things that they said. I didn't see the results. That's why I basically watch no one on YouTube anymore. That's why like I don't read most books these days, just because it's not as valuable as it seems, like, especially with content. Remember that everyone's incentive is to just steal your attention to grow their own businesses. So just have that as this action step before I go train. Is your life genuinely improving? Are you genuinely getting a real result in the area of which this person's making content? If you've been watching this vlog and you've been more inspired to go to the martial arts gym and you've been doing more sessions, perfect. That shows that this is actually having a real impact for you. If you watched my main channel and you actually got onto self-improvement and you got into the gym and you jacked off less and you consumed less bullshit dopamine shit and you stopped video games and TV shows and anime and shit food and you became more masculine and confident, which I know you probably did, then okay, I had a real impact on you. It's worth watching those. But if there's guys you're watching right now who are giving you insights and value, but you haven't started to make more money from them and they're like money YouTubers, then you're just wasting your time. You're making them money, not yourself. So just bear that in mind. Let's go train. So I've been ridiculously tired recently. Did boxing with James. I was gonna skip the session, like I missed the. Oh, sorry, no, I was gonna skip the session, but when I messaged James and said I wanted to take a rest, then because my foot was hurting, like my toes really hurting, my shin is really hurting, and also my hip as well, like all on the right side. So I've been limping around my apartment all day. And when I told him I was going to skip it, he said like, oh, let's just do boxing instead and, we'll get it done. And I was like, oh yeah, 100%. Didn't even consider that. Yeah, I'll be there in like 10 minutes. So it was only like a 45-minute session because I was like 15 minutes late because I thought I wasn't going to train today. But I'm really glad that he got me to get into the gym. Sometimes you've just got to do that. Even with like injuries, you've got to just play around it and see what you can get done, because the 45 minutes we did of boxing today is still valuable and it's still going to be, helpful. So glad that I went. Tired but fulfilled as always. Last few days has been tough, I'm not gonna lie. Like I took a day off, I think maybe yesterday, and I was actually thinking like I might even need to take off like multiple days, like even like up to 3 to 5 days right now, because I've just been hit by so many little injuries. I felt like a little bit sickly yesterday as well, like really nasally. I still got a little bit today, like nasally. Nose is kind of like dry and blocked. Throat is kind of sickly. I think the air pollution recently has been kind of worse as well, which I'm pretty sensitive to. I'm still wearing a mask everywhere I travel. I've got like an air filter and stuff. But yeah, last few days has been really tough, man. I've just been showing up, even though it's been pretty painful, tired, and just getting it done anyway. But I did feel like me and James have trained really hard, like most days of the week, about 6 days a week, 1 to 2 hours, mostly 2 hours a day recently, for 2 months. And the most I've taken off is like 2 days off in a week. So I was thinking like it's such a huge amount of work that I've adjusted to just very quickly, which is awesome. But I'm definitely feeling a catch up right now. I don't even feel like I'm overtraining because, I've lasted 2 months already and I'm still able to show up. But I think like a couple days off is probably going to be a good thing. I think in the days off, you can let me know if you get to this part of the vlog, but I think in my days off, I was thinking like I probably wouldn't do these vlogs because, it's like I'm not at the kickboxing gym. But then I actually had an idea of like, I bet if I'm doing like fun stuff anyway, and I've got like, insights and stuff that you'd probably still find it valuable to watch. Because one of the things I wanted to start doing now was going on like a little adventure once a week. Because I was thinking like, I do a lot of things, like my life is very routine, and I feel like if you're watching this, you probably feel the same way. Life is very routine. Oh man, my hips and everything is so sore. Fuck me. Yeah, life is very routine. Like I live by the routine constantly. I wake up at the same time, I train at the same time, I eat at the same time, I do all, everything at the same time, whatever. Same thing, right? And so that means I'm basically my sort of heat map of the world is like home, where I live, and then the gym, and then that's basically it. And I just work here, read, learn, go to the gym, train there, come back. I think that's how most young guys' lives look like. And maybe that's not ideal. Maybe that's not, it's not making very many unique memories and stories. And so I just had this idea once, and I think it'd be interesting as fuck for you as well. I was like, what if I just went on an adventure on like Saturdays? Because Saturdays is usually my rest day from the gym anyway. And I was like, yeah, what if I just like woke up that day, packed a bag, and literally just like hopped on my bike and just drove over to somewhere else, like outside of this part of like Bali where I live, somewhere new, and just see what like what trouble I can get up to. I visualize like going to, just driving away for like an hour or so, being in like a random part of the country or of the island that I've never been to before, and just like integrating with like the people there, like the locals there. Let's say it's away from like the tourist part, and there's just like a random restaurant owned by a family. You end up speaking to them, and you hear some cool stories or whatever. Practice your social skills, fall in love with little island woman or something. Like colonize. Yeah, I was just thinking that might be fun. It's because usually what I do on my time off, like my free time, like I said earlier today, was like I just kind of consume content, bro. I just fucking read or I watch YouTube videos, and 99% of it's not even beneficial, honestly. And I feel like instead of watching that kind of content, if I went out and actually like, went on like an adventure and spoke to people and got into trouble and, had like a problem, like imagine my bike breaks down and it's like nighttime a few hours away. That would be painful, it'd be uncomfortable, but imagine like the life skills and the memories and stories you'd develop from a life like that compared to just being sheltered in your comfort zone. So I might start doing that, and maybe I'll start. I'll just go on like a weekly adventure, I'll take my phone with me, I'll just record, and you can just see like the type of shit that I get up to. Obviously it's not like my normal life, so I'm not trying to set like an unrealistic expectation. But I'm like, yeah, why not, bro? It's like, it'd be interesting for you to watch. It'd challenge me. It's definitely just effortful. Like, it's just a tiring thing. Like, I want to sit at home in my comfort zone and just like sit here, order food, watch like a podcast or something. That's so easy to do that. But are you really making memories by doing that? Are you like looking back like, oh, I'm so grateful for those years that I watched YouTube every day? There's no way when I'm old that I'll ever be thinking that. Like, oh, I'm so grateful for just consuming content. Like that season of my life where I consumed content all day, like that was so good. Like, there's no way that I'm ever thinking that in the future, right? But I am gonna think, oh, I'm so grateful for those adventures that I went on, for the the bike rides that I would go on to like random parts of the island, or I'd go travel somewhere, whatever. Memories and stories being built. So I might start doing that from this Saturday. I'll give it a try. I'll take my phone. And let me know what you think if you want me to do that. If you've got any ideas of what I could do as well, because obviously you'll be watching me do it, and then within a few months or a few weeks you'll do it yourself, right? That's like the nature of these vlogs. Is like I'm like going out, scoping out new lands of like, oh yeah, guys, this is how kickboxing works. That's cool. Like this is how like fighting works. And then a bunch of guys who watch me are like, oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, Hamza's like done it. Kind of, I understand what it's like now. Yeah, I'll give it a try. Maybe doing like a weekly adventure would be cool as fuck, eh? I always meant to do that, back in like 2020 when I moved back home to my parents' home. It was a goal of mine to go on like a weekly adventure, like hiking or whatever. And I basically never ended up doing it. I just kind of did it a few times, but it was so inconsistent. But I always used to think like if you could just put in the effort, you'd have such memories. Like you don't get memories from just being sat in your room, just like grinding. You really don't. And what's beautiful is, listen, because I know that you're the kind of person who wants to like, succeed and grow a business, whatever. The beautiful thing of the modern day is like, bro, you can just take your phone with you, live the life that is most, fulfilling and adventurous. And that can be your business. Like you can literally grow an audience of people who will watch you go on adventures. Like imagine if that's the thing that helps you pop off on content, if you're like, producing videos. So it's cool, isn't it? Like that's kind of like your work task in a sense then. Little fly. I'm so tired, oh my God. My legs are literally so stiff. And it's pain in a place that I've not really had before, like the inner hip and like the Achilles tendons, the front of it as well, like the tibulus area. And then just like around my feet and my toes as well. Like I'm just limping around my apartment right now. So yeah, it's a bit annoying, but it's okay. I guess this is what it's like being like a athlete. You've just got pain on your legs and stuff all the time. This is what I signed up for. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. And if you want to watch me go on some adventures, like you want to watch like something which is like non-kickboxing related, which I think like a lot of our guys would actually, because so far this almost seems like a kickboxing vlog, but I never actually meant it to be. It's just because that's what I'm doing and that's when I've ended up recording, so I often talk about that and show that. But it doesn't need to be like just kickboxing. Like that'll be a big part of it because I will have my first fight in like probably about 4 months. We're expecting it to be about March. There's actually a few fights going on at the gym of people who I've trained with this Saturday. So I'm going to go front row seats and watch that, which I can't wait for, bro. I literally can't wait because I've not done like a social event in a while. But on Saturday, there's going to be like the fights in-house and like people from my other clubs come and basically fight our fighters here. So that's going to be cool as fuck. And like a few of the guys I've trained with are fighting there, like, like beginners doing their first fights. So this event, it happens like every 3 to 4 months or 3 to 6 months, and my coach James was telling me I'd do the next one, which that's what made it feel so real for me. Was like, you know, it was this vague idea that I'd do a fight, but now that I know what it's like, oh, it's this event that my own gym hosts, and like I've got 2 guys who I've trained with who are gonna go fight in this event on Saturday. It's made it feel so much more real for me. So yeah, I kind of feel ready. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I could do okay if I fought like literally today, like maybe without the hip pain, but like, you know, just in general, if I fought like this month, I feel like I'd do okay. Still not like as prepared as I want to be, and it would definitely still require like a bit of luck, a kind of like an easier opponent. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who'd still knock me out, but I feel like I've learned pretty fast. I'm only like 2 months in, and if we just wait another like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months before the next event's happening, that'll be my first fight. And so if you're saving up money right now and you might be taking a trip anytime soon, then maybe just wait for me to announce that, because what I'd love is like we just fill the fucking the stage, like the arena, we just fill it with the boys. We do like big push to get anyone. Like if you're gonna take a holiday like sometime next year, you may as well just fucking come to my gym on the day that I'm fighting there, and obviously like the day after the gym turns back to normal, and then you can just train with me there and stuff. Because I'll fly my parents out. I'll get like a bunch of friends to come through. We'll get a bunch of the boys to come through. Imagine the entire fucking stage, like the entire arena is just me and my boys, and it's like this poor guy comes in by himself with like one friend in his corner or something. So that'd be cool. And this is why I'm working so hard, because even from the start of me training, I thought to myself, like, when I do my first fight, it's going to be a pretty big deal, even though it's like a, you know, first amateur fight, just because I've got like clout and stuff, right? Which means that people are going to travel. Like, I know for a fact there's going to be a good few people traveling from like different countries to come see me fight, and probably my family, I'll probably get them to fly out, right? And if people are flying that far, it's like I have to put on a good show. I'm not going to show up like a pussy and be like gassed or get fucking, you know, I can still lose, of course, anything can happen in a fight, but I'm just going to make sure I'm like very prepared. So that's why I'm taking my training so hard. That's why like I don't particularly want to take like days off, and I'm paying for, you know, I've got like a one-to-one coach twice a day, which is basically unheard of, right? Everyone else who's training for fighting is doing like classes once a day or something, and I've got like a one-to-one coach, and we skip a lot of the bullshit that's in a class, like partner drills and whatever, and all the focus is just on me for an hour of like blasting pads and stuff. So yeah, I feel like I'm training really hard, and give it a few months and first amateur fight. Exciting, man, really exciting. Living a very like adventurous, enjoyable life here. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Super tired, so I'm basically just gonna like lie around and not move and just order food to my place now. But really enjoying what life is like at the moment. See you tomorrow.